Good morning, Rainer. This is Jace, and I'm here to explain a little bit about the context of the past couple of tasks that I put up. Sorry I put things a little bit amok. Sorry about the confusion as well. I'd like to clarify what we've been working on. We have a general idea of why the tasks and why I would like to address task number 2792, which is open, and why I opened another task called by 2794. So in the original request, I needed scene management to work with files, mainly because the user experience right now is this is one scene which requires quite a heavy environment for a client. I have layout scenes based on foreground, background, midground, and they're based on a number of different collections with all the layers which are linked between them. And then I have my render files, which splits things up even more based on the view layers per setting. Some are rendered in cycles, some are rendered in Eevee. And then I have a composite scene where I composite all the renders together so I can render just that one scene in a batch script. So this is just one project, medium complexity. Another one is, for example, using for 360 renders. I have 6 different cameras with 6 different scenes, and I do it in 3 layers. Then I have a render scene and a composite scene. So I render these two to work together, and they all have their own collections or objects that we need to render every single thing, which I would use this as a template. So to make this whole entire structure here on the bottom left, I'd have to go up here to the top right, which is quite a big zigzag on my widescreen. Or I would have to use scene management up here with this drop down and kind of go blind to see what's happening with these layers here. Or use the outliner. But I can only delete. So I've worked with EAD, and we've managed to make the system to copy settings, link to copy, and make a full copy. But before we do that, let me just go to one more scene where I work together with other things. So here's one that I use for an animatic. I have each scene separated per shot to create animatics. Then I have my animatic version with the outliner, and then I have a common library. So scene management is kind of like the foundation of most of my productions, which is animation, 360 renders, composited renders with Eevee and cycles, anything. So it's a pretty common thing. But the management is hard to find. First things first, the default, I have to show the scenes in the miscellaneous, or I have to dig into the scene tab to kind of work it. So my solution is, okay, when we go to like a file here and we go into the view layer system, which is one render settings for this view layer, and then start organizing with them, I can add a new collection which creates it, and then I can drag things into them, and then I right click on a collection. I can duplicate the collection or duplicate the link. So these two things here, or I can make a new one even from the right click as well. So there's a double entry right there, but on purpose. So that's a container for one thing. So with the scenes are kind of like containers of the collections with their own render settings, top level. So what I would like as a user experience is I can make a full copy, a linked, which is kind of like duplicate, make a linked copy, which is like duplicate collection with linked, or just make a new one with the settings, make a new copy settings. And I could do it from any scene. So that's the whole plan. So copy settings, we'll make a full copy. At the moment, if we had them in the header, I would have to select the scene, go to the header, go to the drop down, then click the thing that I need. Select the scene, go to the header, click the drop down that I need, and then click the thing, instead of just right click on the scene and directly make it work. Either way, It's a little bit faster using a directly in the header, okay, but it's still the same concept as I click on a scene, go to the header of the software, and use the drop down and then copy the settings. Click on the scene, go to the header, click on the drop down, and do something like that. When we could have alternatively a button like this new collection, new scene, and just right click on the scene and make a full copy or linked copy or copy settings, which works already. So the first one with adding this drop down into the header of the outliner, it's half fixing the user experience by just making this like less distance to go to it. Or like if I'm using it with my second monitor, I can do it from the header now. Okay, great. But I still have to select, zigzag, drop down, click. Select, zigzag, drop down, click. Instead of just click on it, duplicate. Click on it, copy. Click on it, delete. Click on it, delete. Or right click and then just press L, for example, which will make things a lot easier to work with, especially since you need scenes to render properly and also manage things and things like that. So that's what I wanted to clarify. That's why I wanted to close the one about the one in the header, which is I'm glad you are listening to that solution. That's nice. But we found code to make the actual user experience pretty much the same as working with collections, or view collections, I guess you could say, where you can add a collection in the header, right click on collections to duplicate collection or duplicate linked of the collection, which is the same case as click new at the top here for the scene, which we haven't added yet, but right click if we want to copy the settings, or right click if you want a linked or a full copy. So that's what I wanted to clarify here, and why we should close the current open task here, which was my original proposal, but we had to change the proposal to move things into header because it was based on active, and we could replace it with something a bit more context sensitive. So thanks for listening. I hope it clarifies why this task and not the other, and why the working code instead of the other, and why we should focus on consistency, or user experience consistency, when it comes to the logic of understanding containers, the scene containers and view containers. But both are render related. So there we go. I hope you have a good morning or evening, and talk to you later.